Welcome to DC. You know we're down at the USA Cup. You're taking it slightly. I'm taking it slightly. Now how you thought I go, you gon' be right back. Well, we gon' be right here. We gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC.
Hey, this is Hog Farmer Keith of the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation. And before you listen to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation has put together an awesome program where you can help make a difference in helping us raise money to assist families who are faced with the everyday stresses it takes for their child to battle cancer. How do you do this? Well, we challenge you to become a 2023 Hog Farmer Ambassador. You can check out this information on our website at hogfarmerscharity.org, or you can learn more by heading to our Facebook and or Twitter feeds. The way that you do this is you click the ambassador link, you start your campaign, you set a goal, you reach your audience, and you help raise $250 or more. So who's with us on helping put a smile on the family's face while they go through these tough times?
Welcome back to Owning the Huddle podcast. This is season 2. We had a short break. Got some crazy news today about Deron Payne. But first, after this 2-week break, Breeze, how you feeling, man?
Man, I feel great, man. I couldn't wait to get back with the gang, man. So we here. We back up. You feel me?
DT, how you feeling, man? Midterms over at the school. You know what I'm saying? You got a whole lot of cash out money, so we got some excited parents and kids. What's good, man?
Doing good, man. I'm almost through my first year teaching, man. But I'm glad we took this 2-week little break and get ready to talk about football. We got some big news, bro. Today, let's go.
Let's go, man. CeeLo. Seems like they did something that we just not really used to. I mean, we can talk about it a little later, but they tagged somebody and signed them a couple weeks later. How you feeling, man?
Hey, like y'all said, we up. We back up. It's a different world, different regime. I'm glad we got back together, man. It's a perfect day, perfect timing. Let's get into it.
Yeah, man. So real quick, the opening drive is going to be free agency is coming. It's coming. Free agency, it starts tomorrow, I think 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is legal tampering period. And official free agency starts on Wednesday. The whole thing about legal tampering period.
I mean, the way I see it, illegal tampering happens 365. So, I mean, like, legal tampering it's a good way to put it, I guess, to kind of allow things to happen. But, I mean, I know for a fact there are ways to circumvent all of that. So, yeah, I guess.
I don't think we need it, but it makes free agency a little bit more interesting. Especially you get to see who they are interested, who they had on their board for free agency, just like they do for the NFL draft. See guys that they pointed out, say, hey, I think this guy's a good scheme fit. He's young. He's coming off a rookie deal. He needs an opportunity. And a lot of these guys are going to want opportunities elsewhere, whether it's, they didn't pan out at the original place they were drafted at, or they're a guy that's looking for a big pay rate. And I think for legal reasons, you want to talk to these guys to get an opportunity to see what type of money they want and what type of what do they want to do for your team.
It's not a bad idea, like in theory, because before, guys or agents or whomever will reach out to teams or vice versa, as the player is probably trying to negotiate their contract or an extension with their current team. So in theory, it makes sense. You give some folks some time to kind of get the ducks in order, and then boom, 12 o'clock strikes, whatever the time is, and you can kind of get a deal done, or you can really start talking about stuff. Because you think about it, that's a big commitment, right? 3, 4, 5 years with a guy, big money. because this is what it's really for. It's for folks that are in the big money, that first day of free agency kind of deal. So that's what I think. That's why I don't think it's a bad idea. It's a very small set, right? I mean, how many people are going to get those big deals? I know it fluctuates from year to year, but like I said, in theory, I get it. Give your camp some time, get to know one another, and then boom. I'm pretty sure it still happens off the books. I'm pretty sure in practice it's like not happening that way. It's like happening anyway. If you want to call it that. So, but like I said, in theory, I get it. But what do you do?
What do you
every once in a while you do get a few fireworks where somebody may kind of agree in principle during the tampering period, and then once free agency opens, like, you know what, on second thought. So every once in a while you do get some fireworks with it, some drama, but you know.
Yeah, that's like JD. I mean, I think that happened what 3 or 4 times. Randy Gregory last year, JD.
That's right, Randy Gregory. That's right. Forgot about him.
It's pretty much same deal. It was all about language again. On the other side of this opening, we're going to get into Deron Payne and his new deal.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast, presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre- and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you. Hail Commanders!
Welcome back to OTA Podcast.
Deron Payne is back. Deron Payne is back. Long-term deal, 4 years, $90 million, $60 million guaranteed. DT, how does that make you feel, bro?
Feel like money. Feel like money.
That's what you said. That's what Payne said, right?
Sir. Man, look, my boy just got paid. Actually am surprised that they got it done this quickly. I was gonna think it was gonna be like probably later on, maybe somewhere after the draft. But this just shows how much they really invested in trying to keep their own. Usually in years past, we lose guys like this, especially at a young age, and he balled out in his final year, and he got the money that he deserved. And you know, when you look at the contract, and we're getting the details about it now, 2.5 in his first season. So that's a lot of cushion to do more things this offseason. So, man, I'm happy Deron got that bread, and I'm excited for next year.
How does this make you feel, Breeze, when we talking about what this regime, this regime is really hard for a lot of us fans to look at specifically, right? We want to combine the last 25 years of Dan Snyder. When we literally re-signed Terry, we re-signed Allen, and you got a second contract with JD, you know, some different contracts like that. And you still have some fans saying, man, we ain't doing this and we ain't doing that. How does that make you feel?
Man, it annoys me personally. I mean, we have a lot of Commanders fans who are so broken and damaged and hurt from, you know, things that have happened over the past years. They can't let it go. I mean, they've become like desensitized to everything, and they feel like every little thing that can happen and will go wrong, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. You know what I mean? Like we can't re-sign this person. We can't go get this trade. We can't make this trade. We can't get this coach. And then when it happens, like, oh, okay. And you still have some people in the background. It's like, well, the culture is still garbage, or this person is still garbage. It's always something, man. It annoys me to no end. And at some point, something has to change, and I think it's legitimately changing right now. You know, people may not be able to see it, but I think it's legitimately changing. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, when it comes to Payne, my number was, I wasn't one of the ones that was saying, hey, look, pay him whatever you want. That's just ridiculous. Right? It's just ridiculous. I'm not paying him nowhere near Donald. And I was talking to somebody earlier. I said, no, he's nowhere near Donald. Like Donald is still almost over 8 million more AAV than him. But my hard cut number was always 22.5 AAV. And I know CeeLo at one point doing these spaces these last few weeks, you said, 60 million guaranteed. That's what it was. What do you think about the overall about this deal? And just kind of break it down for us.
I think it's great. 28 million signing bonus. Like you said, 60 million guaranteed. He's gonna be able to get a 30K a game roster bonus in 24 and 26. So fully guaranteed 15 million in next year. So I think it's a good. To me, it looks like a 2 to 3 year deal. So we may have another out or potential extension after 3 years. So it's not a crazy deal. It's actually a really, really favorable deal. But all that being said, I'm excited, man. So for some reason, I think I got that Ashburn syndrome. But we've had bad experiences with this tag in the past, and we had players who wanted to lock up, and it just didn't work out. So for me, I was very pessimistic. I ain't gonna lie. I was just, and I know Ron he deserves the benefit of the doubt because it's his regime, it's his time. It's not, he shouldn't be connected to the past. But it's hard when you go through that for the last 15, 20 years, but specifically the last, let's say, eight or so years because of the Kirk Cousins and Sheriff, and you know what I'm saying. So I'm excited. I think it's a good deal. I think for both sides, Payne's going to get paid. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of bread. I'm excited for him. I'm looking forward to 2023. I think it's a good deal.
DT, what do you think this does for Sweat and Chase?
Right now, it's hard to give an answer because I really need to see them both play. And we kind of see that Ron is really trying to invest into the interior because of what happened to him the last time he was in Carolina. He let go of Star Tujulele, and he had other guys just fill that position and didn't get the same production. So I was talking in a space today. I was talking about who was the best defensive ends that Ron had when he was in Carolina, because I don't think they may have had production, but they don't have the same talent as Montez Sweat and Chase Young. So it's like having two pit bulls who haven't ate all day and they about to fight for that last bone. And I don't know who's going to get it. Both of these guys are talented. You've seen Sweat majority of the year. You've seen Chase back. Hopefully he gets the brace off and we get to see 2020 Sweat. But I mean, not Sweat, but Chase Young. But it's going to be a very difficult and testy off season for those two. Hopefully we figure out who's going to be. I would love to pay both of them, but at the end of the day, it's the NFL, and we know how the money and stuff work. I think only one guy can get that contract, and we're just going to have to see.
Not necessarily. I think it makes their jobs a lot easier. They know Deron Payne and how he brings it. Especially Montez Sweat. He usually plays on that strong side, right on that over the left tackle. So I feel like him and Payne are kind of really familiar with one another. I think that prolongs that relationship. So hopefully that translates into the field. I think we can all agree we haven't quite seen Sweat pop like for real, because he's right there, and I think maybe this year will be the year for him, which is perfect timing, obviously, with the contract looming. So yeah, I think it's good for both guys. Chase. I feel like Chase is kind of on his own. He has a lot that he needs to prove given the circumstances. So, looking forward to him coming back, but I don't think it really related to Deron Payne. This contract is structured where fiscally they can afford both guys if they really wanted to, especially that we don't have to pay a quarterback. So if they really want to continue to keep these guys long term, that's fine. The question is, will they? You know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
All right, free agency is here, of course, but it's this thing about Ron Rivera that we've seen the last couple of years is that if Ron, what type of Ron are we going to get this year? So far, when it came to the tag, he signed Deron Payne, right? He gave him a long-term deal. I believe it was going to happen, but I was like at what, 40, 45 percent maybe.
You can go ahead.
Well, they did free up a little bit of cap space with the Payne deal. Apparently, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but
I think it was 9 million.
Okay. On top of what was 15.5 or something.
Yes, I think it was around 24. I think something like that.
I would like them to make a decent size splash, if not a big splash, at one position. Doesn't necessarily have to be any particular position. Either on the offensive line or a linebacker, but I would like them to make. I just don't want them to do the bargain bin thing again. Like we've tried that. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. I think you need to go get a guy like I would love for him to go get a guy like Orlando Brown. I don't think it's going to happen. So like my number 2 free agent on that list would be Tremaine Edmonds. But like they got to make a decent size splash. They have to go get like a good player if they have the means to do so.
Well, I think for now they're going to try to re-sign our core guys and things like that. See if we can try to re-sign Cole Holcomb, guys like that. But then the other guys just try to it might be one, I wouldn't say a splash signing, but like a midday signing, like somebody who's kind of well known, but they can help us and be a starter, like a Ben Powers. I see him as like a mid. I don't see him like as a big splash, but he's someone that can come in and help right away. I don't really expect them to do much in free agency, but they're going to address some things in free agency. I think they're going to lean more towards the draft, which we've been doing for the past 3 years. Majority of this roster is built on the draft. 20 draft picks have been contributed to the team, either starting or they've been a valuable backup.
For this regime, I guess we could kind of look at free agency, CeeLo. We could say William Jackson was one guy that they brought in. They re-signed Allen, and you could say, well, Fitz was only like 14 million, and then Carson Wentz last year was at 28. This year they got a long-term deal done with Payne. What do you think? Do you think there are going to be any big-time moves, or how do you think Ron is going to approach free agency?
I think it really depends on what they do over these next 24 to 48 hours. Will we see any restructuring? Maybe you feel like you have enough cap space to do what you got to do. I think the way it currently looks, I know 24 million seems like a lot, but I think they need like 5 million for draft picks. So let's say 20 million, right? I don't quite see it yet. But like I said, they haven't restructured anyone to my knowledge, and maybe they are working some things for contingency purposes. So if I had to guess, I would say they'll try and see what happens. I don't think they're going to be overly aggressive, like overpaying, if you will. I think they're going to kind of like set a mark and set like a budget for every kind of player, and then go after those said players. Eric Stokes is their director of player personnel. Been with them for a couple of years. Really familiar with EB. I expect them to be on the same page, where we weren't quite on the same page with William Jackson III. So I feel like our targets will be appropriate. I just don't know if they're going to fit in our budget. If you feel me, when it comes to like Orlando Brown and those kinds of signings. But you never know. It just depends on what they're willing to do with the current contracts they have on the books that they can restructure and create some more cap space. I just feel like 20 million is not enough to really do what you want to do.
I kind of agree with all of you. I really do. Right? I really do. I agree with all of you guys. I think some things that you were saying were really good. I really do. We're going to take this break, and we're going to come back with some to see how Ron actually feels about the players on this roster and how he may attack free agency. I want you all to go check out You Grow Girl. That's Grow, Grow, written by a dear friend of mine, Jay Smith. It's for daily affirmations for Black women. It is filled with beautiful, colorful images of Black women and powerful affirmations. You can find it at Amazon.com.
Welcome back to LTA Podcast.
Repetition. So I really do. And so we'll just continue to work it. I really do. I really do. I really do. Yeah, just young teams growing and learning. I mean, we had some veterans in certain positions. I really do. I really do. I really do. And, one of the things that did happen in them was as our quarterback grew, we grew. And so we'll see. We'll see how it goes with this group. I like this group, though. I really do. I really do. I really do. And see how it goes. And see how it goes. And see how it goes. I really do. I really do. I really do. I mean, this is a young group. It's a good group. We like this group. I really do. I really do. I really do.
Look in the world, bro. I definitely missed all of that. I didn't even know it was that long.
Oh, the famous I really do.
I really do.
Oh, we know how Ron Rivera feels about his guys, man. He really does. Like, he really does believe in those guys, man. He really does. He really does. He really does believe in those guys. Tremaine Edwards, Breeze, 102 tackles last year, 6 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits, 1 interception. Why is he your guy?
Man, I think he's he's easily the best linebacker on our team based on what we had last season. He's a bigger guy. He's a great athlete, but he's a bigger guy, 6'5", I think 250, 245-ish, which is bigger than I know for a fact bigger than Jamin, and at least taller than Cole, probably a little bit heavier than Cole too. But with his athletic profile, he's not afraid to stick his nose in and make tackles. He can cover a little bit. Like the athletic profile that he has, he will be an asset to this defense in the second level where we were greatly lacking at last season. I know he might be a little costly. I know Buffalo asked him to do things a little bit different, but he does come from a familiar-ish defense in Buffalo. And I mean, I just think he would help out a lot in the second level defense, especially behind this renewed defensive line.
Yeah, and I can't believe, man, we signed Deron Payne to a long-term deal. With like 2 weeks, like that's just not stuff we usually do. Ben Powers, let's go to the other side. CeeLo, this is your guy, Ben Powers. He's my guy. He's a lot of our guys as far as the guard. He's the best guard. Out of 1,094 offensive snaps, he had 1 penalty, no sacks allowed. According to PFF, PFF can be kind of iffy. He's great at pass block. He's not so good at run block. But why Ben Powers for you, CeeLo?
I mean, you covered it, man. I mean, giving up no sacks. I gotta look and see how many pressures he gave up. I gotta find that out. But 26 years old, out of Oklahoma, got that Oklahoma, stink on him, which is always good for offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. He was a beast last year in a few games. Unfortunately, we live in this area, so you see a lot of Ravens games. He was a beast when I watched him, just because of the way that the offense they were running last year with Lamar, and I just felt like they had a pretty decent pocket, with him back there, and I just feel like he'd be a great addition. I'm pretty sure he's on everyone's free agency list across the NFL because, as y'all know, man, offensive linemen are tough right now. I mean, like almost every other team is struggling on the offensive line. So I think, he's definitely he is the top pick for me or top selection for free agency. I just hope he can afford him.
For me, it's Jonathan Jones. I want a slot cornerback. I want a vet guy. He had 69 tackles last year, 4 picks, 9 pass breakups. He even had a touchdown. He had 3 forced fumbles. He's one of those guys that picked up that ball punch technique on the field. And the only thing about him this past year is that he had to move the corner because of injury. So he played a lot of boundary this year. But previous year, he played a majority of his snaps at slot corner. So I think he's young. I think he's 29 going on 30. I don't think he's going to cost that much. I haven't checked the spot track. But that's just the guy that I want to go is Jonathan Jones from the New England.
Former Auburn guy.
Yeah. From New England Patriots. So, all right, man, we're going to come back from this break, and we're going to talk about some of this ownership news we've been hearing for the last couple of minutes. And no, I did not know that Shaq Thompson resigned. Sorry.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes with this group. I like this group, though. I really do. I really do. I really do. and see how it goes and see how it goes and see how it goes. I really do. I really do. I really do. I mean, this is a young group. It's a good group. We like this group. I really do. I really do. I really do.
All right, man. It's been so many reports these last few days about the ownership news and the sale of the Commander. So this is our new segment, Owner Suite 301, to talk about this sale, man. And so some of the things we heard about a new partner that was joining Josh Harris Group, which was businessman. Let's see, what is his name? Mitchell Rails. He's a DC billionaire. He's an architect. He has like a few museums. Him and his brother created the Danaher Corp. He's world renowned for creating value for distressed companies. I think that's exactly who we need. He's also known for operational excellence. He seems like when it comes to customer service, that's number one on his list. We had a few people that talk about some of his buildings, some of his renderings that he's done, how great and detailed they are, the customer service at those different museums and different things like that. And then we heard about Bezos signing a NDA for some reason, maybe that he can see the books, allow him to see the books, and that he won't go and write about it in a post. So it seems like he's back in. So I mean, I don't even know where we at, to be honest. It's one thing one day, one thing another. But we did hear something about the Commanders telling the NFL they should have something to them in a couple weeks that the bidders they will be happy with, the sale amount they'll be happy with. So it's just so much stuff going on. DT, when you just hear all this information, this constant news swaying one way to the other, where are you at when it comes to the sale of the team?
Well, I think we're looking at this, and it's going to be very important to see in the next couple of days who's going to be the next guy. Um, I find it interesting that this person is very local, just like Harris. So it kind of gives the vibes like he's been talking to him for the past couple of weeks about collabing with him and trying to get this team. I still have some doubts about Josh Harris a little bit, mainly because like he's owning an NBA franchise. So how much time he's going to put into an NFL franchise that is way more historic and has more values than the 76ers. No disrespect to them, but we're talking about Washington. We're talking about a team established in 1933, one of the oldest franchises in sports history. And to see that report come out and still hearing the things about Bezos, we heard Bezos, he's just now trying to get, the opportunity to bid. So this month down the stretch is going to be interesting.
Him and his brother were some real estate investment gurus. Have you heard about them in your fields anywhere?
No, I never heard those names before, but it's encouraging, man. It's always nice to have some local, philanthropists and businessmen to be able to take interest in the team. There's been a lot of, I feel like, misinformation out there, just my opinion. Everyone thinks this is a trash organization. It's a poor investment. And I can't believe some of the stuff I've heard. I'm like, do y'all realize how hard it is to own an NFL opportunity to buy into or own an NFL franchise? And I don't care if they in freaking $10 too. If it's part of NFL, you get in on it.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you got two guys, both Harris and Sale, being from the DC, I think Harris from Bethesda, and then Sale is from the area. I think it's fantastic. I've heard the price is starting to climb. Now you don't know if this is Dan Snyder talking or if it's real, but all the bids over $6 billion, which I couldn't care less, other than the fact that as long as the new owner is able to come in here and continue to do what Ron Rivera has been doing, changing that culture, changing the look of his team, getting folks excited on the field. He can do that same kind of thing off the field. And I know we got a new stadium to think about, all those other big things. I'm all for it, man. So to me, this is exciting news. I think it's going to be coming real soon.
Breeze, what do you have to say to the people that's there's a person, and I think there's a group of people that wants Fertitta, whatever you want to call them. I think there's a group of people that would love.
Oh.
We know his bid was at 5.5, but I think there's a group of people out there that would like for him to get this team because I believe, just by past conversations, that they believe there's a chance that he can bring the Redskins name back by actually having Native American on the board, which can help get back to that name. That's the only reason why I think this specific group of people that want to go back to that name. What is your take to that?
Oh my god, bro!
I think they should change the name for that just to see Breeze's response.
As sick of this whole ownership thing as I am, like I'm so ready for this whole process to just be over. I think I even said on Twitter, like I don't care if Big Bird and Elmo buy the team. I just want it to be over with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to add the extra layer of certain people wanting a specific owner because of this name. Listen, the name is gone. It's gone, and it's okay that it's gone. You know what I mean? Like when you, dudes, you got a daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like when your daughter goes and gets married, her last name changes. You're not gonna sit up there for the rest of your life saying, "Damn, I wish your last name was still X Y Z." Like it happens. It's evolution. It's a part of life. You know, I mean, I know we're talking about a football team, but like things change. Things change. You know what I mean? Like we are the Commanders now. Like anybody, first of all, NFL teams can't even change their uniform. They can only change uniforms, I believe, once every 5 years. So it's not like it's going to change next year anyway. So please move on from that. But like, let it go. And I know that's a hard thing to say because even I have Redskins tattoos. I get nostalgic about the name. I love hearing people who were, around in the 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s when the team was good. I was born in 91, but I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, who have those legitimate memories when they reminisce and talk about the Redskins. Like, it feels good to me. I feel you on that. But let the past be the past.
Let the past be the past.
Move on from it. It is. I promise y'all, it is okay. Like, it is okay. We still wear burgundy and gold. We still have those memories of those players from all those years past. Whatever your specific era may be. Like, just move on. You're causing yourself more pain and heartbreak and stress worrying about the Redskins, especially if you're still a fan of the team. Like, yo, you finna get me started. Let's just everybody just we are the Commanders now. I think everybody is better buying into being the Commanders and moving forward with that. It may not be the name that you wanted, but it's the name that you got. None of us, nobody on here chose their name. Nobody on this planet chose their birth name. The name you picked. And
that's true.
As whatever your parents' name, you had no choice in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let it happen. You don't
Unless
have
you
to
change it.
I mean, yeah, but you had to change it. We can't change the name.
That's right.
Move on with it. You know what I mean? Like, move on from it. Like, Deuce, you can't change my name. My name is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I can change it, but like, just move on from it. It's no point in hanging on to it. No point.
I'm about tired of the conversation. Like, I'm ready to move on. And this is my thing. If a new owner comes in and wants to rebrand, right? I'll get it. If that's what they want to do. You come in, you pay $6 billion for something. You want to have your own name, your own colors, your own with stadium and all this. I get it. I get that part. If they do it, all right, cool. I'll be upset because I done bought all this stuff. I hope they don't change the colors because then I got to do my wall over and all this other stuff. But I don't think it's going to be a long, drawn-out process. I think they'll know coming in, hey, look, we're coming in. We're going to change the name in 2 years. This is what it's going to be, blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's going to be like that long, drawn-out year lies that we have about the new name. But speaking of new names, new players, Combine a couple weekends ago, we got some players that we want to target in the first round. Before we let you know about those players in the first round that we would like to get, I'm gonna go to DT and actually, what would be a surprise pick at 16 for the Commanders?
Well, a surprise pick is a guy that I've been watching over actually since the season ended. This guy, he's local. he is to me, and this might be a hot take for y'all. And there's a guy named Kyle that I might have to agree with. I think Anton Harrison might be T1 of this draft. It just, when I look at him, he reminds me so much of the old classic Oklahoma tackles. For some reason, like Oklahoma just produced good linemen, just like Wisconsin, Iowa, and Stanford, and guys like that. And when it comes to tackles, Oklahoma just be producing. And when I see his pass sets, I see the ability to get upfield and things like that. This guy, I think we need to consider him, especially if we trade back from 16, because now with this Carolina Panthers trade up to number 1, it could be a possibility we might have 4 quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks. So that's going to make all the defensive players like Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, Christian Gonzalez, them guys are going to be probably flying off the board. And those are guys that we're, like Christian Gonzalez, we're looking at. And if that happens, I think trading back will be good for us anyway. And if you can get one of these tier tackles that's going to rise up in the draft, I think Anton Harrison might be the guy for us. This guy, he reminds me so much of Trent. He reminds me so much of Orlando Brown when he's actually blocking in pass reps. I just think this guy is going to be good.
So I agree. Anton Harrison, that would be fantastic. I think that wouldn't be a big surprise. I think a surprise pick would be a skill position, like if we got a wide receiver or if we got a running back. For me,
God, please no.
for me, that would be a very big surprise. However, I will say, if we do, trade down, let's say we trade down to, they probably wouldn't trade with us, but trade with Philly. I think they have picked 30 or something like that, right? That would be an opportunity where you may see some weirdness happen there, where you may see like a tight end, or you may see someone like a Bijan, for example. So that would be my only reason how I can see something like that happening if we're way down in the bottom of the first round trying to recoup that god awful trade that we sent that third round over to Wentz. So that may be the only thing I can think of.
So I don't disagree with y'all for the position. I think that offensive
BPA.
line, I think offensive line is by far the biggest hole on this offense. On this team, we could use a younger, better cornerback, but we have corners. We need depth, but not necessarily a first rounder. Quarterback position is what it is. Like I think Sam Howell will be just fine as a quarterback. I don't think we need to go pursuing a quarterback.
Repetition.
You know what I'm saying? So that being said, I feel like the biggest hole being offensive line, and the most important position being the most important position on the offensive line being the left tackle. I'm okay with drafting a tackle at 16. My guy would be Broderick Jones from Georgia. He has that UGA pedigree, and we know UGA has been dominating college football for the last 2-3 years. Looking at some of his college stats, he's given up 2 sacks in 3 years. Played his entire career almost exclusively at left tackle, which is love Charles Leno the person, but at this point the player leaves something to be desired. Gave up three quarterback hits. You know what I mean?
He's a Ron type guy.
Man, yeah.
Man, Leno taking strays tonight.
But I like Charles.
He's a good guy.
I really do. I really do though. He really
Great
is.
guy. Great guy.
But Broderick Jones, he played basketball in high school, so he's a good athlete. He does have some technical things to work on, but most rookies do. Nobody coming to the league. Most people don't come into the league set to go on day one. You know what I mean? I think Broderick Jones will be a great guy. And what's his size? 6'4", 310. So he's not huge like the guy from Ohio State. I can't remember his name right now, but he. Yeah, right. No. Dewan something. The other tackle.
Dewan. What's his last name? Jones, right?
Jones.
Yeah,
It
DeJuan
might be
Jones.
Jones. Yeah, DeJuan Jones.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. He's a good athlete. Can improve his strength a little bit, but I think he'd be a good solid pick with a more than blue blood pedigree, playing up front to go ahead and make that selection if he is indeed there.
So yeah, Anton would be fantastic, because I think you went to Bishop Carroll, right? So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man. Okay. I ain't know
so
that.
you can't go wrong with the hometown. Well, you could go wrong, but overall, man, he's had a fantastic career, man, and I think DT mentioned earlier, he would be excellent. Them Oklahoma boys are something different. We all know about Trent Williams and so many others that came from Oklahoma. I feel like, the Big 12 is where it's at when it comes to these big boys. So yeah, let's do it.
Next up, not about us. We're going to talk about, is the NFL colluding against Lamar Jackson or against the fully guaranteed contract?
Hi, I'm Christian Miles, native Washingtonian and real estate agent servicing the Washington metropolitan area. I started my career as an investor and later transitioned to the residential side. I really wanted to leave the investor side because I wanted to connect with people. Building relationships is important to me. I understand the buying and selling process can be challenging. I get it. I've been there. I'm a mom, wife, friend, and neighbor. I absolutely love helping families and connecting with people. Going through the home buying and selling process is stressful enough. When working with me, I make it fun. As a realtor, I think it's important to be able to connect with you. Every detail is important, no matter how small. Let me take care of the heavy lifting while you focus on the joys of finding a new home. Something I live by, people may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. With me, it's an experience.
All right, so the Baltimore Ravens, they decided to non-exclusive tag Lamar Jackson. Once that went out, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, which I don't think ever happened before, all these teams or these reporters, national, local reporters from their respective teams started tweeting out that this team was not interested in Lamar Jackson. DT, and then how do you feel about those train of events leading into a conspiracy of some sort to do you think it's to Lamar Jackson or do you think it's to the actual guaranteed contracts?
I don't think it's to Lamar Jackson. I think it's really to the guaranteed contracts. When we look at last offseason, Deshaun Watson really kind of shook and left a bad taste to the NFL owners when he got that fully guaranteed contract. Now let's play back some events. Cleveland was out of the running for Deshaun Watson, right? So for in terms of desperation, they went to the point that they were going to give this man who hasn't played a full year nearly 200 million fully guaranteed money. And that just sent a total shockwave to the NFL. And I think it just so happened that he got it first before Lamar. And we know Lamar has the accolades. Unanimous MVP. He's arguably been a top 5 quarterback in the league if he's not injured. He's been one of the best players in the league. If we did not have Patrick Mahomes, I guarantee you he would be the face of the league. And I think one of the other things that's also kind of hurting Lamar is he's representing himself. Now, it's cool to represent yourself and things like that, but when you're getting to the breaking point of these conversations and you're trying to get that money, I think if you actually had someone with you to do these conversations, these discussions about what you really want and things like that, I think the deal would have been done. And unfortunately, right now we're hearing all these teams that don't have quarterbacks, but they're saying I'm not going to pay all my cap on almost 20% of my team to a guy, one guy. I mean, not saying he is a guy. He is a truly special talent, but they're thinking the long term. They don't want to think the short term. Yes, some teams can literally be like us. We can be a Super Bowl contending team with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody in Commanderland want Lamar Jackson in DC. But two things about that. One, in Baltimore don't like us. And two, I think the other thing would be this the money, and you're trying to pay like Cam Curl, and then you got Montez Sweat and Chase Young and those other guys. So it's a really sticky situation right now, and unfortunately, I hated that it had to happen to Lamar. But this is not on Lamar the player. This is on the NFL versus the NFLPA.
I agree with that, DT. I think I really do believe there's something to a couple things. So something to him not having an agent, I think is not helpful. Doesn't mean that they can't get a deal done. It just means things may get a little bit more complicated, and there's more to a contract than just a contract. There's other things to play into it. But I've been saying this for a while now. I think the league got together and said, "Yo, what Cleveland did was a one-off. This is not the standard. We can't have, every quarterback who has all his potential, because we talk potential. Lamar has performed so far, and we think he can go to another stratosphere, right? But he hasn't been there yet. So we're talking about potential, and we potentially going to pay these guys over 25% of our cap. Not going to happen, at least not. And that's what I believe is happening in the league. So when you have a guy like Lamar who's non-exclusively tagged and everyone's saying no thank you, that's insane to me. Just say nothing, right? Just say nothing. Like it doesn't take anything for you to just be like, I don't know yet, or no comment, right? Like it's he's available to be just like he's not tampering. You can talk to him. So why be so quick to say I don't want him? He is a talent, because if this was, I don't know, if Trent Williams became available all of a sudden on a non-exclusive tag, everyone's going to be like, yo, we may look into him, right? Mm-hmm. There'll be no question about that. It's just you doing your due diligence. You may not do anything, but and I understand if that people don't want to do. The theory is we go out, we talk to Lamar, we agree on a contract, we send it back to Baltimore, and Baltimore is going to match it. So we're doing Baltimore's bidding for them. That's the theory. No one wants to do that. And I understand that. But you got to try, right? I mean, how many play? I mean, I could name 20 teams that need a quarterback. So how you going to easily just say, nope, I'm out? Just say nothing. Right. Just say nothing. You know what I'm saying? At a minimum. And then, some time will pass. Free agency's getting ready to get here. Things let the process play itself out, and then go from there. So that's the weird part. That's the part of me that's like really getting into conspiracy theories type stuff. Like, come on, y'all, really? Like, if this was any other player, you'd be all over, at least doing your due diligence. But now you don't want to touch it. That's the part that gets me.
Yeah, I mean, CeeLo kind of took the one out with sales a little bit, but no, I mean, I feel like it's 100% collusion, regardless of how you kind of look at it. I mean, you have a 26-year-old former MVP quarterback in his physical and athletic prime, and like CeeLo said, at least 20 teams who, if they don't need a quarterback, at the very least looking into upgrading at quarterback, and nobody wants to touch him. Now, I completely understand the idea that Baltimore doesn't want to overpay him, so you give him the exclusive tag at a lower price, and you basically let the NFL do your bidding for you. I fully understand that, especially with what I learned today, that if a team signs into an offer sheet, that deal counts against their cap until Baltimore decides what they want to do. So theoretically, Baltimore could have someone's cap number tied up, $50 million of somebody's cap tied up for a week of free agency. And now you can't go make any other moves to help build your roster up, regardless of whether you're building around Lamar Jackson or anybody else. So I understand there are different aspects tied into it, but it's 100% collusion. I mean, Cleveland broke the game last year. Like Cleveland broke the system, and now everybody is hesitant on trying to offer certain players certain deals. And I think it's also a sign of the times, because at some point, NFL contracts went from I'm going to pay the best player, I'm going to give the best player the best contract. It went from that to just being good to being good enough at the right time and you get paid like you're the best player. And then when elite players contracts come up, now, okay, like for example, Daniel Jones, right? Daniel Jones was never considered an elite quarterback. He was good at the right time and got guaranteed $81, $82 million over the first 2 years of his deal. So now if you're Lamar Jackson, you're looking at it like, well, okay, I may not get 50 million guaranteed, but I can get more than 40. If he got 40 a year guaranteed, I need at least 43, 44, 45. Baltimore essentially offered him 32.5, 32 point whatever it was. So yes, the agent thing happens, but yeah, the NFL kind of broke their own game in a sense with the way that they started paying players and stuff like that. And now Lamar Jackson just sitting there like, you know what I mean? And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's absolutely collusion, regardless. Like I said, regardless how you look at it, and it's unfortunate for Lamar. But I mean, what is he going to do at this point?
I got a question for all of you, and I'm gonna go right back to you, Breeze. Does Lamar resign in Baltimore, or does he go to the AFC or NFC?
I think ultimately he will end up back in Baltimore. I don't think he'll be there very long. I think he may end up signing that 1 year deal. I mean, the signing the tag and staying there on the tag for 1 year and then leaving. I think Baltimore is kind of burning bridge with Lamar to an extent, because in his mind he's like, well, I've done X, Y, Z in this small amount of time, and I've set these records and I've gotten these stats and all of this stuff, and y'all don't even want to pay me more than Daniel Jones. Y'all don't want to give me more than Derek Carr. Like, they haven't done stat wise, they haven't done what I've done. They haven't won what I've won. You know what I mean? If y'all don't want to respect me, cool. That's fine. I'll go somewhere where I am respected. And again, because of the NFL not wanting to do Baltimore's bidding for them, I don't think anybody's going to really give Lamar a contract that Baltimore wouldn't match anyway. So it's like, I think he'll ultimately end up signing the tag, staying there for a year, and then moving on. But yeah.
I don't see him in the AFC because, for one, that whole conference is stacked, and some teams may need a better quarterback than the quarterback they have. Especially he goes to Miami, where he's originally from Florida, and he gets to throw to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle every single game. I don't want to see that. If I was Baltimore, I would send somewhere to the NFC. I think those teams. You look at the quarterbacks in the NFC, like it looks like a mid yard compared to the AFC. To the NFC, he is literally the best quarterback in that conference. So you will have two colliding forces. You will have Patrick Mahomes, then you have Lamar Jackson in one of each respectful conference. So I see him going to the NFC if anything happens. If not, I could definitely see him coming back in Baltimore, but I think that relationship is going to be kind of soured.
I was just gonna say, I think he'll be back in the Ravens. That's all. I think this is if he has any. I know he's not. I know he's representing himself, but he has any like friends in the. Uh-oh.
Hey, Breeze, you ain't over that Joe taking lines, are you? You can't imagine this. He said,
doing the Chris Brown joint.
The Commanders make me feel that way sometimes, but nah.
The Chris Brown joke.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't think the relationship is that bad. I think this is just business. Hopefully he's getting some advice like from other players. He's in a unique situation. I think he likes Baltimore. I think Baltimore loves him. He knows that. Clearly, they need to put some talent around him to help him get to the next level. That's obvious. So I think this is just business, man. Baltimore's doing exactly what you should do if you're an owner and a team and trying to, get the best value out of that player. That's what you do. It's not. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's right per se. But if you're an owner of a team or a general manager, you got to do this, man. This is a lot of money, and you just want to make sure you're making the right decision. So I think he'll be back in Baltimore. It's just going to be a little rocky for the next couple of weeks.
I'm excited for free agency coming up. I think it's already been like I was saying last week, the trade deadline during last season was crazy. I don't think we ever had a trade deadline like that. Around those weeks, free agency already has been crazy. I mean, Lamar Jackson got a non-exclusive tag. That's crazy. You know what I mean? You think about Daniel Jones. I mean, he got this deal like 3 minutes before the deadline, and Saquon got the tag like a minute and a half before the deadline. Everything is just crazy. I mean, the Commanders, we signed Deron Payne to a long-term deal. Who thought that we were going to do that? I think it's going to get crazy. Jalen Ramsey just got traded for a third and a tight end to Miami. That's crazy. So it's just more stuff I think is going to happen before 4 o'clock tomorrow. And then when that legal tampering period starts, man, who knows? It's going to go crazy. And the thing about that is that what is Aaron Rodgers going to do? It seemed like there's a trade in place, but it's up to Aaron. I think he went back to the sunken place to make his decision. So we'll see what that ends up. So hopefully he lets them know something soon, because teams can't talk to Lamar Jackson until Wednesday because he's considered restricted. So it's so much stuff that can just go on, man, with these next few days, man. And I'm waiting, and I can't wait. It's gonna be a good. This is gonna be a good week. Hopefully, it's a great week for the Commanders. But before we head out, we thank all of you for watching. We thank you for listening. This is Owning the Huddle podcast. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. And we really, really do love you subscribing to our YouTube channel.
Facts. Click that subscribe
button.
button.
Really do. Notifications. Here's Ron Rivera.
Repetition. I really do. And so we'll just continue to work it. I really do.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast, presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre- and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you. Hail Commanders!